Good morning, welcome to this devotion. Phyllis and I sleep at night with our grandson in the cot in our room. And normally I'm the first to wake up in the morning and I try and tiptoe out of the room. And according to Phyllis, I'm not so great with the tiptoe part. But I think most times I manage to get out of the room before anyone actually wakes up. The other morning my grandson woke up at 3:30. I think it was about 3:30. And he was finished sleeping and he was ready to start playing. So we have this night light that we have in the room that shines stars on the ceiling. And to help us, when we could try and get around at night to the cot in a hurry. That morning when he woke so early, we were not interested in playing. We just wanted to get back to sleep. So we put the night light onto rotation mode, hoping he would stare at the ceiling, at the stars slowly rotating and fall asleep. Well, so we thought anyway. It didn't really work because he ended up pointing to the stars and was trying to call our attention to look at them. He eventually fell asleep, but the broken sleep took its toll the next day for me at work. And it's amazing how we all have all these metaphors about light shining into darkness and how light exposes darkness. Also about how light shows us the way in the darkness. And I mean, this is all good stuff. There's always these contrasts between light and darkness. And then there's this ancient poem written about 3,000 years ago. It's recorded in our Bible and it's Psalm 36. In this psalm, the psalmist tells us, or the poet tells us, I suppose, that this poem is all about the wicked and first points out the attributes of godless men. And then just like that, in a heartbeat, the poem changes and contrasts to the attributes of God. God's love, God's faithfulness, God's righteousness, God's justice, God's unfailing love. And the poet really goes into that. And it's almost like we're comparing the ungodly man to God and like back to the darkness and light again. Then the poet moves into the good guys and the people that go to God for a relationship. And in this portion of the poem, something very interesting is said. And I read from verse 9. For with you is the fountain of life, and in your light we see light. In your light we see light. The poet is saying that in God's light we see our light. Our light is exposed. We quickly think that our darkness is exposed in life, but we forget our light is also exposed. Yes, God's light does expose the darkness. And when we draw near to God, we are aware of our weakness, of our sin and our darkness. But the poet is reminding us that yes, that darkness is exposed, but our light is also exposed. One of Jesus' disciples, John, writes an account of Jesus, and he starts off that Jesus gives the light to every person. And he says that our light is not only exposed, but the source of that light is Jesus. And I love a good question. And when my grandson gets to an age where he starts asking silly questions, I'm not sure what my opinion is going to be. But at the moment, I really love a good question. And when you read that your light, we see light, the question has to be, what is this light that we have? What is exposed? What is this metaphor of light in our life? What is it referring to? When John says Jesus gives light to every person, what is he talking about? And here in this metaphor, we can really start playing. We can dance. We can go to town, so to say, because we can find this light in just about every teaching of Jesus. First, I believe that this light that we have is about this deep love we have for God, this dependence on God, this humility that we are totally and fully reliant on God. Secondly, I believe that this this light is so steeped in our innermost that it affects the way we behave. It affects the way we think. It affects the way we love people closest to us. It affects the way we love people that can never love us back. The way we love ourselves, the way we love God, the way we love our environment. And thirdly, I believe that this light we are given, we reflect into the world around us. We tell people about the gospel. We share the gospel of God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. We share into the world around us. So my hope is that whenever you see a light burning during daytime, like this, remember that God's light also exposes your light. And the source of your light is God. Or as the psalmist said, God is the fountain of life, and God's light, we see light. May you have a week where your light is seen by all in God's light. And may you be so steeped in God's light that your love shines to everyone around you. Till we meet again, God bless.